Hey there, my name is Liz, and welcome to my first video. I decided to do this video based on this discussion happening over on U Chapter 2. It was a JavaScript question. It's kind of more of a generic question. It started out as just, there's a little things that are buggy, and then also there was just some lag on how the PDF was working, so I took a look at it and I had some suggestions. My main suggestion was to learn how to use Regex, which is regular expressions, and I wanted to do a video on regular expressions, what they are, how they work with JavaScript, and then how they really help within Bluebeam when you're doing PDF forms with JavaScript, because they work really well together. And I think it's something really, really useful, and it's going to allow you to cut down on your code and make it much smaller. So if you want to read the full discussion and anything we come up with in the future, be sure to head on over to U Chapter 2 and check out this post. So this stemmed from, I wrote a game once that used a regular expression to target specific elements of the PDF form. Specifically in this case where I made this game, it targets buttons that have the name square and then a number after them. And you can kind of see some of my code right here. This PC mask is my regular expression. And then down here in this loop, I'm targeting only the things that match this regular expression. And this regular expression is going to look like gibberish, but I'm going to show you how it works and why it's useful and all of that fun stuff. So basically this for loop tests for this regular expression, and if it passes, then it does a little bit of code. It does what I want it to, and it ignores everything that doesn't pass. And so that was kind of my advice to Isaac, who made this really creative PDF here. So I talked about JavaScript and regular expressions in 2021 Bluebeam XCon Anywhere, but I kind of glossed over it. I didn't have time to go into it too much. One of the things that I said, just in general, but specifically for using regular expressions, is to be thoughtful about how you name your form fields, your layers, your pages, your documents. Be thoughtful and consistent in it. Whenever you make form fields, it will just name them like the next, like button 1, button 2, button 3. But if you are thoughtful in your form field names, your layer names, it makes your coding much easier, because then you can use regular expressions to cycle through the things that you want and filter out the things that you don't. So here's the spreadsheet. But the main question from Isaac that I helped him solve with regular expressions was, he wanted to target parent layers and then separately target child layers. And I don't know of a way specifically to do that with JavaScript within Bluebeam, like using the API. I don't know if there's something specifically that can target parents versus children. And if you have, subsets of children, necessarily how you would target those. However, because he was very thoughtful and intentional about the names of his layers, I realized immediately that regular expressions could be used to target the parent layers or the child layers. So, what the heck is a regular expression? It's a little bit complicated when you first look at it. Like I said, kind of chaos when you first look at it. But basically, you're telling the code to look for any pattern that you can, basically, if you can describe a pattern of like a string or text or anything like that, you can have a regular expression kind of look for that pattern. What patterns am I talking about? Maybe it's a phone number, which is 3 digits and then a dash and then 3 digits and then a dash and then 4 digits. That would be something you could have a regular expression look for. Or email addresses. Some text, including, whatever specified special characters are allowed in the first half of an email address, and then an @ symbol, and then some more text, and then a dot, and then some more text. You can target all of those things with a regular expression. So for targeting these layers, super simple. I'm just looking to target one digit. So in this case, I go through here, I notice that the layers go up into the double digits. I don't know that he's going to have more than 99 layers, so I think we're safe looking for 1 or 2 digits. I really like this regular expression tester. It has this handy dandy little cheat sheet down in the corner, and you can try typing your regular expression up here, and then you can type stuff in this test string to test it, to make sure it's going to work and to make sure it's going to give you the results that you think it's going to give you. So I'm going to scroll through down here, and right here I can see any digit. And if I click on it, it'll give me some more information. So it's equivalent to looking for any numbers 0 through 9. So let's give that a try. \D. And now it says no match up here, but that's because I haven't typed any test strings. So I'm going to type, let's type some letters. No matches. Okay. Let's type some digits. Yes. And you can see it's matching every single number. So it's giving me 5 matches because I've typed 5 numbers. So that's not really what I want. I want it to match 1 or 2 numbers. So let's close the any digit cheat sheet and look through here. And here I can see between 3 and 6 of, whatever is in front of it. So in our case, it's a \D. So I'll use some curly brackets, and then I'll say 1, 2, because I'm looking for anywhere between 1 to 2 digits. No more and no less. So if I type 12, if I type 1, I get a match. See here, I get 2 matches. And that's not what I want, because now I have 3 digits and 2 matches, but I'm looking for 1 or 2 digits, no more or no less. And how we're going to do that is start of a string and end of a string down here. If I put this little caret at the very beginning, that means that what I'm looking for is going to be at the beginning of the string. So you can see now it changed from 2 matches to 1 match because it's matching the 2 digits in front at the very beginning of our test string. But that's kind of still not what I want, because there's a 3rd number in my test string, and I don't want it to match something with 3 numbers. Or anything after it. So for instance, I could, I'm still getting a match here, and I want it to match just 1 or 2 digits, and that's it. So then we're going to use that end of string down here, so the $sign. And now we have no matches. So let's delete the dashes, and I get matches if I type only 2 numbers, no more and no less. And if let's do some text and 2 digits, I get nothing because the digits are not at the start of the string. So this is how we're going to target all of the parent layers, because the layers are consistently named and all of the parent layers are 1 or 2 digits. And if we, wanted to go up beyond 99 layers into triple digit layers, I would put a 3 up here, and then we would match layer names all the way up to 999. So as we looked at the definition of this any digit, you saw these brackets 0 through 9. We could replace this with square brackets 0-9. And it would give us the equivalent. And you can see that over here in this description, which is also very handy. So you could do either one of those things. Next, targeting layers. So I just Googled it. I Googled how to target layers in JavaScript for PDFs. You'll notice this is not on a Bluebeam website, but on that other PDF software's website that they shall not be named, even though you can see them in the web address. We shall not name them. So I stole this little bit of code as a way to test that my regular expression was working and doing what I think it was going to do. Here, it's getting a list of layers and basically adding them in a continuous string. This -n is a new line character. So basically, it's one continuous string that has a new line every time. It's basically like hitting enter on your keyboard. Has a new line after every layer name. That's not really what I want. That's not very easy to target when I'm writing some code. If you'll recall back to here and my little example of my code, I'm using a for loop, and for loops are really good at targeting objects or items in arrays or objects. A string is neither of those things, and it's a little bit harder to cycle through and target those things. So instead, I want to make an array. And here's some code that I've prepared earlier. So I basically edited this so that my parent layer, I renamed OCG or layers to parent layers, knowing that there's probably going to be something later where you're going to want child layers. So here's my parent layer, and it's an empty array. Square brackets is an array. And then I kind of just kept this OCG array because get OCGs is the way to target layers. So this is getting a list of all the layers. And you can see, I'm going to scroll through on this left-hand side over here. You can see we have lots of other, not lots, but we have a few. We have a few extra layers that are just text that aren't numbers. So this get OCGs will get every single layer name. And then this for loop is going to cycle through them, basically from 0 to the length of the array, which is the number of layers. And I'm assigning the current loop. So we're going to start with the first element of the array. We're going to test it, see if it matches our regular expression. If it does, we're going to add it to the parent array. If it does not pass the test for this regular expression, then it will just skip it and move on to the next element until it reaches the end of the layers list. And at the end, we will have an array called parent layers that has all of our parent layers listed in it, hopefully. So you can see that this code is almost identical. I just added this pcmask.test. pcmask is my regular expression, and we are testing the current item in the layers list to see if it passes or not. And here we will copy this, and we are going to paste it here in the console. You can access this by right-clicking over on the side of your markups list and show and JavaScript console, or Alt-J. And then to run this particular code all at once, I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to hit Control-Enter. And you can see that it output a list of all numbers 1 through 12 only, and they're not in order. I don't know that that would generally matter for what we're doing. If it does matter, as part of the code that you write, at the very end, you can write some code to put them in numerical order if that matters. I don't think it does for our instance, though. So the Bluebeam JavaScript console is a really good way to play around and see if your code works. So if I do this right and I don't have any typos and I don't have a brain fart, Let's type a dash because I'm going to try to target child layers right now. So let's type a dash and then, well, let's make sure that dash doesn't mean anything in our regular expressions. I don't think it does. Okay, let's give it a try. We're going to see if I remember how to use my regular expressions. Okay, and then we're going to do D curly brackets, 1, 2, and curly brackets. So let's see what happens when I do this. It may or may not work. Let's find out. Highlight, Control Enter, and now I have a list of all of the child layers because I modified my regular expression, so now that it's looking for 2 digits, 1 or 2 digits at the very beginning, a dash, and then 1 or 2 digits at the very end, because that's how our child layers are named. And it did exactly what we wanted it to do, and it's create an array with all of those child layers, so now you can loop through those if you want. Possibly an easier way to do this is to just target anything with a dash, possibly, because none of the other layers have dashes. I might be hesitant to do it this way because if I want to use a dash in another layer later and I forget that my code is only targeting dashes, yeah, see, it did target everything with dashes. If I write something later and it's just like I decide to do like rage-1, this is going to target that. But if I do specifically 1 or 2 digits dash and then 1 or 2 digits, I know that it's always going to target my child layers, even if I forget later that I coded it like that. It's a little bit more foolproof on my end. I don't have to remember that this is how my code works, because that might be hard to debug later. If you make a layer with a dash in it and then suddenly your code's just not working right, because very rarely do the error messages give you something useful. So that might be a hard error to track down later. So this is what I'm talking about being thoughtful with how you name things. Even if you don't know where you're going with it, try to anticipate things that you could be doing with it. Like adding more unique names, they might have a dash, or even just being organized. Isaac had no idea that I was going to suggest to use regular expressions. He didn't know how they worked. Picked it up very quickly and ran with it, and I love it. But at the time when he made these layers, he didn't know that that's something you could do. But because it was very organized and there was a naming convention, it was something I could target. So things like that in your code, in your PDF, when you're writing JavaScript, will just save you a ton of time and be very, very, very useful. He's currently updated this PDF, already uploaded it to UChapter2. I haven't even taken a look at it yet. So once I do, I'm sure I'll have more comments. So go on over there and check it out. I'm going to show you one last thing. So this is the global JavaScript console. This is where some of his code lives. And you can see he is manually typing out all of these layers. And where the regex regular expression code is really, really powerful is that previously, if he wrote, if he wanted to, let's say, update all of these to 15 instead of 10, he would have to come in here and manually do that for every single one of these, for all 12 sets of layers. And let's say he wants to add more than 12 layers, then he would have to come in and just write more code. But this regular expression with the ability to specifically target the parent or the child layers, it takes care of itself. Up to 99 parent layers and 99 child layers. It takes care of itself. And there's no additional code required. So that's where you're really, really, really going to save and be super efficient with your code. There's a coding concept called never repeat yourself that I'm very, very fond of. If you find yourself writing something over and over and over again, that's a good indication that you should try to figure out a way to code it so that you don't have to repeat yourself. I think that's all I've got. I hope this was useful. One more thing. If you want to learn code, I suggest Free Code Camp, their JavaScript course. Really, really good. You can do it in a few hours. Not this one. Nope, not that one either. Sign up for a Free Code Camp account, and it's free, like they say, Free Code Camp, and go to their JavaScript course, do basic JavaScript, and they do have a regular expressions section. I think it could be better. It's a little confusing sometimes. So I recommend this one instead, regex.learn or regexlearn.com. And it's really easily like gamified into a logic puzzle basically. And it's interactive, and you can really like test yourself and learn how it works. And if you like logic puzzles, you'll probably really like this. So that's all I have for you. Join us over on UChapter 2. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm super excited to help anybody out with coding questions. I am intermediate JavaScript on my good days, but I will do my best to answer your questions and to get you started if this is something you're interested in. So I'm really excited to have this video for you all, and let me know if I can help.